Resident Evil 9 to feature two unkillable stalker enemies and a Resident Evil 4 inspired atmosphere rumor. So I almost didn't do a video on this because it was something that I read, the title of the article, and I was just like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I didn't think it was going to have anything that was kind of interesting me enough to want to do a video. But after reading some of the information here, I thought it was actually pretty cool and pretty interesting as well. So I figured it was something we can go ahead and check out. So we'll get into the article, and I'll go ahead and give my thoughts. So, Resident Evil 9 is going to feature two unkillable stalker enemies and a Resident Evil 4 inspired atmosphere, according to rumors circulating online. Now, when I first heard that, as far as the title goes, I wasn't too happy with it, to be honest, just because I know they did do a good job with like a stalker enemy in Resident Evil 2 Remake, but I remember they were mentioning that they were planning on doing that for Resident Evil 4 Remake. And I didn't want that at all, especially because there wasn't like an unkillable stalker enemy in the original. So I didn't think it was necessary for them to do it. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they were planning on doing that for Resident Evil 8 Village as well, but they didn't on either one of those games. So I'm guessing that they decided to just scrap that and then just save it for Resident Evil 9, which seems like it's going to be the case because I had heard some other rumors that there was something similar to that vein. So I'm guessing they're just going to go ahead and decide to put it into the new one if they decide to go that route. So, as revealed by Biohazard Declassified and reported by Residents of Evil, and really quick for anyone that doesn't know Residents of Evil, they're a YouTube channel and really good dudes. Like a community that they have that they kind of keep up with Resident Evil information and news and all that type of stuff. And they are the ones that were actually able to get the original Resident Evil for the PS1. The whole cast that did like the little cutscenes and everything like that, they were able to bring them back and kind of get some interviews with them and everything like that. So really good dudes, really great in the Resident Evil community. So if you haven't checked them out, I definitely would recommend it. So the new entry in the series, which has yet to be fully revealed, will feature two series mainstands as playable characters: Jill Valentine, who I personally love, and Leon S. Kennedy, who I love as well. And then who were the main focus of two playtests held in April and September. The Resident Evil 9 April 2024 playtest was focused on Jill Valentine and it was set in an abandoned hospital on an island. The main objective was navigating the hospital, which was decorated with a moon and infinity symbol signal representing a cult, to find a serum that would fight the infection affecting the residents. Mold infected zombies, which fought with a variety of weapons such as knives, axes, and scythes. So it is one of those things where it kind of sounds like they're kind of somewhat going into the Resident Evil format where it's going to be Jill fighting off like a cult. And I think that's, I don't know. I've like part of me thinks it might be a little bit interesting, but another part of me feels like they're kind of just recycling what they felt, was successful. But the fact that they're doing it with Jill is what kind of has me in the hopes that we are going to be able to kind of keep it going and that it will be able to be a good storyline. The only issue I kind of personally have, and I'm sure I'm probably, this is probably just kind of one of the gripes that I have, is the fact that I'm not really the biggest fan of the redesign that they did for Resident Evil 3 Remake with Jill. I I will always look at Jill as the Resident Evil 1 Remake. That will be the definitive Jill to me all the time. So the fact that they're kind of moving forward with the Resident Evil 3 Remake, Jill kind of but little just rubs me a little bit the wrong way, especially because I think Resident Evil 3 Remake is fucking trash. I did not like that remake. I didn't like the direction they went with it, and I hated how much content they had cut out from it from the original. So yeah, that was my feelings on that. So Jill was also armed with some standard series weapons like a shotgun, pistol, and knife, and had the ability to craft ammo using other items. And that part right there, the shotgun, pistol, and knife, kind of does give me a little bit like it makes it like a little bit of a feel of like a callback to Resident Evil 3 or the original. But the ammo crafting is the main one for me that really makes me feel like, that is something that does remind me of Resident Evil 3. That was one of the cases where I didn't really like that they went that direction for Resident Evil 4 Remake, because Resident Evil 4 original never had crafting in it in that sense where you're doing like ammo and stuff like that. So the fact that they decided to add that for the remake, I wasn't really the biggest fan of. She was also being pursued by an unkillable stalker enemy called the Goat Man, who eventually manages to catch her and infect her at the end of the playtest. Assisting Jill via radio are Chris Redfield and Barry Burton. And then that is kind of one of the weird things as well, is the fact that they say that she does get infected by the Goat Man. Because, I mean, she already got infected in Resident Evil 3 by Nemesis. So I don't know. It kind of feels like they're just recycling some of the stuff from older games in this. And the fact that they're doing it with a character that already had like a very similar situation happen to her, I don't really know. That's kind of a weird one for me. So, and then we'll go ahead and continue on. The Resident Evil 9 September 2024 playtest, on the other hand, was focused on Leon Kennedy and was set on a beach leading into the forest close to Mr. Simon's lab, which Leon is pursuing as he supposedly creates bioweapon clones of Evelyn. During the journey, Leon has to fight zombies armed with multiple weapons and avoid unkillable stalker enemies, a witch with the ability to transform into flies and cause hallucinations. Leon also has the chance to witness zombies praying to the moon by a bonfire, a scene that is likely connected to the cult represented by the moon symbol seen in Jill's story. So, I don't know if they're gonna have it so that it is one of those situations where Leon has his own story and then Jill has her own, and they'll kind of intertwine with each other, or if it is gonna be one of those things where they're just kind of two separate stories that will eventually kind of maybe follow up with the later game, because I'm kind of curious of the direction they're going to go in that sense, because I remember in the last Resident Evil, so Resident Evil Village, I can't remember the main character's name, but his daughter they made it seem like she was going to be kind of involved with further franchises, like the further in the franchise as far as the games goes. I don't know as far as that goes in the sense of the DLC, because I never played that. I still haven't gotten the opportunity to, but it did kind of seem like they were kind of going in that direction. So I'm wondering if it is going to be one of those things where you play as Jill, then you play as Leon, and then if they're going to try to bring her into it maybe a little bit later. So all the supposed playtest information detailed above suggests that Resident Evil 9 will have a pretty big Resident Evil 4 influence, which wouldn't be surprising considering how the fourth entry in the series continues to be an incredibly popular game and how well last year's remake had been received. As the game is rumored to have more open world feel, it will be interesting to see how the development team will manage to blend these gameplay elements, if true, with more open gameplay followed and progression. So that is kind of one of the weird things as well, is the fact that they are mentioning that it's going to be an open world. And like I said, I'm curious if they're going to have it so that it's kind of one story for Leon, one story for Jill, or if they're going to almost go kind of like a Grand Theft Auto 5 like aspect of it, where you can play as one character, or if you want to, you can toggle and switch to the other character to kind of see what's going on with them. So Resident Evil 9 has yet to be officially revealed. According to rumors, it should be released in the second half of 2025, so a proper announcement shouldn't be too far off in the future. So I think that's pretty interesting. I mean, I love those two characters, Jill and Leon. So the fact that they're going to be making the next game based on them, I think is pretty cool. But one of the gripes I also have heard before as well is the fact that the franchise is in almost like a 30-year difference from when it first was released, and then you're going to be using Jill and Leon, so more than likely they would be a lot older than the example that we have here as far as Jill is concerned. But Leon, I mean, I feel like he would be older, but he probably would still be able to do a few things here and there. But I don't know. It really just depends on what we get as far as a trailer and what direction it seems like they're going to be going in. But again, since Jill was infected with the T virus back in 2000, back in Resident Evil 3, if I'm not mistaken, it was the T virus. Then I feel like she would at least have a little bit of like an understanding of why she's able to remain younger and kind of keep her young aesthetic. Well, Leon, on the other hand, I'm curious as to how they're gonna go, because at this point Jill should be older than Leon, but Leon, you know what I mean? I feel like even though with age, he probably should be able to still be able to hold his own at least. So curious seeing how it's gonna go. I'm looking forward to it, to at least seeing like what the trailer will entail and what it'll look like. So those are my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If you're gonna be looking forward to Resident Evil 9 when it does come out, if you guys are excited that Jill and Leon are gonna be the main protagonists in the game. So give me your thoughts in the comments. If you guys could like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys have been watching this long, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And yeah, until next time, Harmonic out. Peace.